Greetings, sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. So, this early day, I thought I'd step in just to have a communication discernment, around discernment. And there are many things that I don't particularly like to touch on this channel. At the same time, uh, as a woman, as a mother, as a community mama, as an auntie, I see some things that concern me. And I know I'm really appreciative of some folks other than my immediate parents who are available to me to have some conversation and put some gems of discernment in my ear. So, first of all, I speak about Grandma Lou a lot on this channel because she was in her 90s and she was so full of common sense. She and my godparents. And they gave me a lot of gems. It didn't prevent me from making any mistakes, but it prevented me from a lot, right? And the gems of wisdom, of common sense, and discernment continue to serve me to this day. So we're gonna have a chat around Flowah Fit, and I am aware that there are all kinds of that come in all different types of packages. Of course, as long as we're respectful, all welcome on this channel. And I have nieces, also sons. We give birth to sons and to daughters. So, yeah, that is what that is. And I make the effort to be fair, um, to be fair, right? So, there was a video. Sometimes you mind your own beeswax and just things come across your feed. And I've had, over the years, numerous young women reach out to me with different questions. Sometimes I'm concerned. Sometimes I feel like, I'm here for questions to a certain degree with healthy boundaries for men too, because I give birth to sons, right? And so sometimes I wonder why folks don't take advantage, ask more questions. Ask questions before we follow. I am humbled by the fact, though, as a species, we follow and we mimic, and the trajectory doesn't end very well. And it's very powerful conditioning, the desire to belong, the desire for validation. It has us put ourselves in harm's way a lot. So something came across my feed after I had a fantastic workout, fantastic movement practice, set the tone for my day. Set the tone for my day as things were coming across on my screen because I'm up earlier before the 5 a.m. workout. And a lot of times I'm doing research to set the tone. So in any event, this viral video comes across my feed of a young gentleman, and he's ranting. He's using, as many folks do, social media to vent, to express, to get an ear, to get some attention, to get some feedback. And he's going on about how he has 7 children by several different mothers, and those are the ones that decided to keep the children, right? He also stated that he said that he didn't want to be a father. Greetings. He didn't want to be a father, and he asked. First, he said, "I know I was irresponsible, basically, and he didn't wear any protection." But he said, "I asked them to get a ABORTION, and to also, he said women usually either get the ABORTION or take the what do they call the Plan B pill." And so these particular 7 women didn't do it. So he said, "It's not on me. Um, they chose to have these children, and I told them I didn't want to." So I was just like, wow. It just never see for some years now. When these screens turn on, I'm just like sometimes like I'm just like wow. At the same time, a lot has come to the surface. A lot is very revealing of what has been there, right? All of the unintentional parenting, and let me do say, I think that the responsibility and accountability lies equally with men and women. Some people, it'd be very easy to say the accountability only lies with men. That's not true, right? It's just not accurate. Though right now, there's so much that is glaring in our face to continue to make the same types of decisions. It's beyond Russian roulette. It's like I'm an observer of patterns. So there are distinct patterns, and these principles are regardless of your packaging or how you want to identify yourself. There are distinct patterns. It appears that due to our ego and our vanity, which may be a slightly different flavor for men and women, due to our ego and our vanity, we put ourselves in harm's way. And not only do we put our own selves and our reproductive in harm's way, which has a reasoning. No one does something without a reason, let me say that. But we're also selfishly risking and putting in harm's way potential offspring. So I will say, even as a woman, as a mother, it's very easy to say that, oh, I can raise a child by myself, I can do this and that. Though, do we ever consider that beyond, we can say, we go to school and I did this and I fed them and I clothed them. Though these little human beings, we call them babies, they're babies for a short while, they need something. They need something beyond the clothing and the food and books. They need something so they can have a mental and emotional stability. Mental and emotional stability. And likely, if we're subjecting ourselves as women to tremendous amounts of stress, right? So we're in denial about something. None of us are immune. I'm not immune, but I can look back now and look at with some wisdom, with some life experience, that our vanity and our ego has us think, not me, that's them, but not me. It's actually delusional. It's a setup, and we're setting these little human beings, we're setting them up for failure, right? So the ego, or being delusional, or ignoring the patterns, or ignoring the trajectory, ignoring the stats, ignoring evidence that is blatantly obvious because of our feelings or our emotions, the results, the consistent results, the overwhelming results, the overwhelming numbers speak for themselves. They speak for themselves. And as much as we can complain about the men folks, are we setting them up for failure if we don't consider what they will need to be emotionally and mentally stable? So, should we choose to parent or to create human beings and bring portal human beings here with someone who expresses they don't have an interest, who has demonstrated that they don't have an interest in responsible parenting? Can we not acknowledge that we're setting the human beings up for failure? That is something that we're doing, that we're ignoring what is being displayed. That's delusion, and that's ego, and that's arrogance. And men have an expression of it, and so do women. So the responsibility lies with all of us. How much more obvious it is very difficult to end the conception of PTUS right now, to go through all of that, right? I've wondered this for years. What would it take for folks to not put ourselves in harm's way? What would it take for young people? But we can't leave it at just young people and teenagers. What would it take? What would have to shift in our awareness? So the sense of urgency, the sense of impact, what would have to shift so that it's like, whoa, that's too much of a risk. I can't afford to take that risk. Is it perhaps the music that lulls us into complacency? I definitely think that's a part of it, the music and popular culture, because things become normalized and a sense of urgency or importance. It's even like, we could say, like the way we speak to each other, joking about pain, drugs, alcohol. It's not shocking anymore to curse at each other, for folks to curse at their mother, like, as more boundariness from a perspective of being crude or religious. Yet the more and more protocol and boundaries, and I personally don't think that you need, as someone who's raised very religious and has done my stint in different religions and spiritual practices. I don't think you need a religion to have discernment. I really don't. I really don't think it's exclusive because we've got more religions than we could ever have, and it doesn't seem to have made a tremendous difference in people's discernment and their character, just more morality. The fact that we think you need a religion or a label in order to have morality, in order to not harm other people, it's absolutely astounding. So, unknowingly at a certain age, and then ignorantly, and I think part of it is due to trauma, anger, resentment. We're submitting ourselves to be misled across the board and to mimic and follow people that we don't know, that are unvetted. You don't live with them. You don't know their character. Now, I can't sit here on a high holy horse. I mean, I have a decent amount of common sense, but I remember being a follower too in my 20s. So I'm not about to sit up here and just say, oh, these young people, because that's a lie. That's just not, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. It's hypocritical. It's hypocritical. It's hypocritical. Yet at the end of the day, if you follow celebrities and if you follow the tone of the more so than programming, I like to say conditioning. If we continue to allow ourselves to be conditioned, and at this point, don't acknowledge that our repetitive behavior is affecting our autopilot behaviors, things that we're doing unthinkingly. That's from your consumption patterns of what you're eating. That comes from if you put your body and your mind in harm's way. We're deeply affected by the things that we're watching and the things that we allow to manipulate our emotions. I grew up on hip hop, but I just can't pledge allegiance to something just because it has a chocolate face on it when it's just like, in terms of in terms of character, or just like I'm just gonna give the stamp of approval of something because I like it, but it doesn't have a vetting process. Like that's not it's not cutting the mustard. It's not cutting the mustard. A lot of them I just can't listen to it. I don't understand what like the ears, but it just says that we've been so conditioned in what we allow. So it says to me, even the questions or the doubts that come up in people's mind, nobody questions it. We go along with groupthink. And it really takes something today to not be a sheeple. To not be a sheeple. You sit and watch men folk give each other piss poor advice, and women give each other piss poor advice. You have friends that will encourage you to engage in not protecting your reproductive organs. Do you ever think about that? What kind of friend is that? But we often like to share our state. I like to share exercise. Not that many people want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. But you want to share, no judgment here. Observe the patterns. You want to share your joint. You want to share your tears, what you're going through. You want to share your joy. So humans, we want to share our state. But do you ever question if somebody has lackluster results, but they're sharing their advice with you? If somebody has poor health, for example, or they're acting plumb crazy with no character, I don't really want your food. Energetically, right? It's something that it would have to have a peel on it or something like that, or orange. But for the most part, I'm like, no, thank you. So the discernment is just not turned on for this gentleman. And it's not limited to men. It's not. It's not. That is bull crap. Then we are dishonest as women. We're equally responsible. Equally. You can respectfully disagree if you like. We're equally responsible. How much time we have to sit online on the internet, which is ridiculous, not getting into action, pointing a finger. At some point, you can assess and just see, but it's so almost hypnotic. It's so enticing to just go with the crowd. And so validation, folks go to online groups and things, and not even discern the tone. Can you not discern the tone? It doesn't even feel right. Like how you're talking to them, it doesn't even feel right. Equally, I've heard some women say some stuff, certain men should all be offed. That doesn't even feel right. At what point do folks look at what is at the root of this behavior? What do we do to contribute to a climate of safety? How about that? right? Often people will be very demanding. What's your address? Where are you? Just know, I don't make them bad or wrong, but there's no discernment. There's no discernment of safety. There's no sense of safety. There's no sense of safety. We don't check. How are you turned on by someone who is not safe, that demonstrates that their temper is volatile and that they're unsafe? That's male or female. That's attractive. So this young man, back to the story that's across the feed, he's saying that he has several children by several mothers, and it appears the women were aware of this. But do the celebrities, like there's this gentleman, I don't know what music he's made, or maybe he's an actor or something, so and so Cannon, he's popularized for having lots of children. So there many women that do this, I guess they're gonna secure a bag because he has money. But what about the children? Do they only need money? What about their mental and emotional stability when you're under stress? Because it is extremely stressful, especially in this economy. It was already stressful, but even more so today. It's setting small children and little humans up for failure. Can we not acknowledge that? That's males and females. Are we so bitter? It happened to me, so screw the next generation. For a man to say, F it, I don't care, like totally negating the children. Okay, so these little human beings, does anyone think that that's going to affect how they feel about themselves and their esteem? If the father has a mindset of F it, and I've always said to my offspring, be careful of the effort clause, because effort is a dangerous state of mind. When somebody has a state of mind of the effort, FUC, they'll do anything. That effort mentality won't care if they're innocent bystanders. It only cares about itself. It's very selfish and it's very self-destructive. It doesn't even care about taking itself out. Doesn't even care about taking itself out. So if you're new to this channel, I'm Body-Culinary, aka Kwasapeacefull eating, professional chef, personal trainer, lifestyle coach. And I feel sometimes I'm being pulled more and more into this mentoring, yet I like to have healthy boundaries because I'm not Jesus Christ. And see what they supposedly did to him in that story. That's not me. I don't have all the answers. Yet sometimes when I look out at some of the decisions that we're making, it is altering the trajectory of folks' lives. My grandma Lou says, stay busy, stay out of trouble. So simple, yet so profound. I invite young flowers or whoever else watches this channel, rather than allowing yourself to be triggered, that this is a state of triggeration on these little hypnotic boxes. And we are easily conditioned. If you're going to trigger yourself, why not trigger yourself with nature? I've said for the longest time, folks would do well to go into a cocoon. To go into a cocoon, disappear off the scene. What happened to them? Where did they go? Where does black women go? They're somewhere in the garden. They're somewhere working out. They're somewhere jumping double dutch. They're somewhere doing some puzzles. Somewhere playing and styling their hair. But staying busy, staying out of trouble, maintaining a focus on your life. Because with a lot of these life decisions, they create unimaginable stress. Not only stress for yourself, but also for the other individuals. It's just like, but we're just going along with the crowd, like a mob mentality. It's like following a whole herd of sheep off a cliff with no discernment. I think it's absolutely astounding. So I don't have all day to be on the internet talking because the garden requires work, training clients requires work. Yeah, I would say I'm concerned that most young people in their 20s, and this is not limited to 20s, because I can think of elder people making these kinds of decisions. Many people will not make it out of their 20s without a life-altering STD at this point. Not only an STD, and there's so many new strains, but somehow the impact. You can say certain things like heart disease, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, diabetes. The impact is not hitting. It's not. It doesn't hit. It's not landing. We're so desensitized. We're so desensitized it's just the impact is not hitting. The sense of urgency to change, it's not hitting. People just stand all day, just want to stare into people's eyes or stare at their muscles or stare at their eye color or marvel at their singing ability. But that's it. It's like our ability to focus is like this. And so it's conditioning. I do think though that it is possible to recondition yourself, though it really takes something. It takes a lot of intention. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. It's becoming uncomfortable to think and to use your common sense. It's to think. Someone said to me the other day, we were talking about salt and sugar in a class, and I was saying, in coaching, just give a little tidbit. Someone said, why would you? I said, if you really want to stop or check your eating or to see how addicted you are, I said, why not take a week and cut out all salt and added sugar? The person said, why would I want to do that? They're thinking, wow. And I'm thinking like, wow. I'm gonna give somebody a shortcut, shortening a learning curve. And I just thought it was so interesting. So the things that pacify us and that lull us into comfort, short-term comfort, not long-term, right? That lull us into short-term comfort. We don't realize it. We're slowly losing the ability to focus, right? Imperceptibly. It's like you don't realize that you're losing your grip strength, or you don't realize that you're losing your balance. You go pick up the heavy weights, but imperceptibly you're losing the ability to stand up straight because we sit down too much. There's some things that are like slowly sleeping away. Or it may not be perceived that you're losing your youth and your vitality. With each tug, puff, drink, if we could open up our bodies and see how the organs are responding to the things that we are ingesting, and also to how our bodies are physiologically responding to stress from our decisions. We're having a chemical response to stress that is cortisol, that is affecting your insulin levels. Insulin will have you store most of what you're eating as adipose tissue, the technical term for fatty tissue, only unhealthy fatty tissue. That's the only tissue we're thinking of losing. Rhonda, Carolyn, sending you positive vibration, Landon. Had for watch that Rasta woman video. Thanks. Oh, okay. That's positive. You enjoyed it. That's great. So I just say again, there's men and women on this channel. I am not the Messiah. Woman that's not combing my hair, that prioritizes ease and relaxation, spend a lot of money on clothes that all went in the garbage. I like fashion, but just getting the priorities right, getting priorities in order. So for the few people that reached out to me about Flowah Fit, I did get your emails, but there are a lot of people, and it is challenging for me to go through this thing with advertising. I know for me, from experience, I am just very wary of opening myself to randomness on the internet. There's little stars, you don't know who people are, so that doesn't resonate. So I'm very with being able to identify people. So you sent me a recent communication. I did get it. It just takes me a while to go through everyone and to find a process by which I can vet people who I have come into Flowah Fit, because I prioritize a safe space that is non-negotiable. It's not a conversation. I'm not asking for permission. That's something I'm doing on my own. And the platform that I use that particular platform because it's easier for me to screen folks. So just Flowah Fit, just one little thing. The whole purpose of Flowah Fit is to come together around specific activities. It's not ranting, raving, complaining. It's an education component, sharing information. With the main focus of the 3 lifestyle practices, getting into action around things you say are important. Hopefully one of those things is health. I like to come together around activities because it kind of neutralizes a lot of cattiness and a lack of focus, or humans, our tendency to project stuff that we're going through on the people that is closest to us. Again, life will learn you. So that is sharing what you are up to in your garden or starting your garden therapy. It is also deeply relaxing and therapeutic. It's a therapeutic lifestyle practice. Your personal movement practice, the goal is to share your feedback from your heart rate monitors, not as just sitting around like we're trying to catch warmth from logs in a fire. It's participatory, right? Participate. If you want change, You show up and you do something. And you're participating, sharing what your experience is. So sharing the feedback from your heart rate monitor, your fitness tracker. You see, immediate action towards a goal, even if it's imperfect. And then there's your personal movement practice and your peaceful consumption. So whatever labels you want to call yourself, so the focus here is peaceful consumption because everyone's body can benefit from more whole, fresh, living, unprocessed fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Everyone, everyone. That's my focus, peaceful consumption. That's what I'm an advocate for. I've had a Jerry curl, gold tooth, and eaten all kinds of flesh. But the focus here and in Flowah Fit is foods that your cells can recognize. It affects your brain. It affects your blood function, your viscosity of your blood. We were studying in the coaching. By the way, there's group coaching every Sunday at 2 p.m. And we were going over how different things make your blood thick and viscous. And then your blood is so much pressure now has to be applied to get that thick blood through the arteries. These are some things some people are not aware of. So comprehensive education can go a long way in providing an interrupt into the autopilot. I'm humbled. It is easy to be on autopilot most of the day, most of your life, losing years in front of these screens. We're just like this in front of the screen. Ask me how I know. Decently intelligent, but it's hypnotic. So we leave school not really understanding the psyche, how it works, how we're triggered. How is it that as intelligent beings, we have the tendency to constantly, almost consistently, put ourselves and people close to us in harm's way? Is anybody else fascinated by that? And then the folks that are able to self-actualize, to honor their word, to do what they say they're going to do, right? And maintain their health. What is that? What is that thought process? Is nobody fascinated by that process? Is nobody fascinated by the possibilities of health? What are the possibilities for what you can do with your body and your human suit? So I say all that to say there's quite a bit of content if people were to dig right on this channel. There's so many resources. How are you leveraging your time on the internet? So I'm not here to tell grown folks what to do, especially if they're not paying me. I've been in the industry for 30 years and I've been humbled. Sometimes I've had to stop in my tracks, right? Sometimes it comes through the back door. Sometimes we will crave drama. Doesn't make sense, but no one does something without a reason. It's a distraction from us wanting to deal with some of the uncomfortable stuff that's going on within our own lives. And the fact that we find other people's pain entertaining and we could spend hours online losing valuable time. We could have been learning a skill. You could have been out rollerblading. You could have been at the river. There's so much life to be had. Even with all that's going on, there's so much life to live. There's so much life to live. Distraction at its all-time high. So I'm the one, I like to take a lot off the table. I'm not worried about no hair. This is my accidental, I don't know if I'm going to say hairstyle today. I'm channeling they call it a Gibson. I don't know if that's what chocolate women called it. But when they used to do victory roll, well, this is not a victory roll. Victory roll goes that way. I like vintage stuff. So I got my little roll here, a couple of hairpins, easy breezy, no oil, no products. I'm not doing it. Not a priority, right? I'm not wearing a whole bunch of makeup. Maybe one day I will play in it, but it's just not a priority. Are you prioritizing your time? Are you getting something back for the investment of every conversation, every piece of food that you're eating? Are you getting something back? Only you can determine that in your quiet moment. So there's some tools out there. I invite you. You don't have to wait for me. There's classes. There's food prep classes coming up. If you're not on the mailing list, I invite you to get on the mailing list. It's going to go slow because I just have a vetting process. And I have a vetting process. And I invite you all to have one too for safety and for your emotional, mental health with all the stuff that's coming at you on the internet. It can really rob you of your focus. So there are food prep classes coming up. I'll see. I already have coaching for whole living foods and fitness. That is on Sundays at 2 p.m. The workout is every day, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll see what's going to happen with opening coaching. I think my capacity right now is for women, but I do get some questions also from men. So just have to have some healthy boundaries. It is a healthy eating for men course, but more so, I just found young women asking me questions. And sometimes having a ear with some discernment, common sense, and some feedback can go a long way. Just to have a sounding board can save you a lot of, I don't tell people what to do, but it can save you a lot of heartache in terms of feedback before you make a life altering decision and put yourself in harm's way. All right. So I just wanted to say that today. Like, why? The least we can do is to keep ourselves out of harm's way. Journal it, write about it, take a lot of that stuff out of your subconscious, because there's something that's driving the self sabotage. All right. So I'm out of here. Like, comment, subscribe. You can find BODYCULINARY on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Here on YouTube and on Facebook. Subscribe to BODYCULINARY. You get on the mailing list. There are food prep classes coming up. There's going to be some master classes, and there's going to be a series of food preparation, and it's going to be whole foods. No TVP, no tofu. There's lots of possibilities. I know sometimes people can't imagine. There's nothing to eat. There's plenty to eat. And you can get off the diet whole straw. Create a great rest of the day on purpose. I see Dana. You look great as usual. Thank you for sharing positive information. I usually try to use social media for educational purposes. Love to hear. Thank you. And it doesn't. I love entertainment too. Yet again, if you do a check-in with yourself, do you notice it's like, okay, before I get up, I remember if we go to Jimmy Jazz, like one of those hip hop stores, you know, with the cool with latest jeans and all that stuff on, and you're walking by like, oh, that's a cute top. And next thing you know, Snoop Dogg or something is on. Next thing you know, you inside the store at the cash register with your arm full of clothes, and you were just walking by. We are easily triggered. We follow. We do. How else did you listening to your, you know, when I was growing up, I remember one of my homies in junior high school, she came back from vacation and she was pregnant. We were 14. I was so green. I didn't even understand what was going on. So somebody told her she couldn't get pregnant the first time. So we have more information than ever and less discernment than ever. We have more mixing of body parts and fluids and less intimacy than ever. No respect. No intimacy. How is this a turn on? Pure conditioning. How are we turned on with people that are unsafe? That the person in the car with you is listening to music that is violent, that is glorifying drugs in your community. You don't need astounding. Let me jump out of here. Create a great rest of the day on purpose. See you soon, Dana, Landon, Rhonda, Carolyn. Oh, get a copy of Whole Living Foods in the Hood with Mason. Shopping list there. Ideas for what you can make. Help shorten your learning curve around whole, fresh living foods as a lifestyle. See you soon.